August 23rd, 2016 regular commission meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the August 23rd, 2016 regular commission meeting minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Deliberate and act on road closures for the 2016 homecoming parade. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, this is an annual event that we have done our review as far as emergency services and public works. You can see that it's gone through the process, and the assigned personnel have checked that they've reviewed it and approved the plan. So we would recommend approval of this event for the homecoming parade.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the road closures for the 2016 homecoming parade, which will take place on First Street. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Deliberate and act on Raton PBW's annual domestic violence walk run.
Mayor and Commission, similarly, we have an event that has been held in Raton before. It involves a 3-mile and a 5-mile route that you see attached. Has been reviewed by Emergency Services and Public Works, and again, we are recommending approval.
I will move to approve it and note that this is a very good activity, and I've done it for almost every single year. It makes you feel pretty good. So I usually do 3.5 to 4 miles, and I'll invite any of you to join me in walking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would note that it's scheduled for Saturday, October the 1st, 9 a.m., beginning at Ripley Park.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the PBW's annual domestic violence walk run route. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Deliberate and act on Lodgers Tax Board recommendation. Lamar Billboards and doTERRA Symposium.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With Lamar Billboards is a continuance of a contract that we had, that we changed locations. In the design of our plan, we had in outdoor, there's typically C locations, B locations, and A being the prime preferred locations. Most of our signs that we had previously going up the I-25 corridor, we had essentially one B location south of Las Vegas, and the rest of them were fillers C locations, which basically once they saw our advertising, we were just hammering them over and over again. Part of our expansion this year is to reach out based on the tourism data, the little that we were able to get through the chamber, through our welcome center, as well as using Trinidad, addressing where our travelers are coming from, with the high majority coming up I-25, but the largest majority coming across 87 through the Amarillo market. And so we changed the locations, though they're not all A locations. They at least get us closer to the A locations that we're looking for to supplement the radio as well as outdoor, to get people to continue on the Raton instead of stopping in Clayton or stopping in Las Vegas, or right now we haven't addressed anything north in Colorado yet. And so we would ask that be approved. I know one of the questions that was asked to us earlier, it's a 2-year contract. And so why isn't it longer, or why isn't it shorter? It's not shorter because the value of the vinyl that we get, on average, they last about 2 years of what we're seeing. And so we want to get our money's worth out of the vinyl that we have. Longer, we don't want that either, because once an A location comes up, I can't swap a B for an A. I have to wait till that contract runs out while I grab the A at the same time. And so it's really that cost benefit of getting the vinyl, but I don't want 5 years tied to a B location if I could have the opportunity to change to an A location down the road.
Mayor and Commission, I would point out that Renee Smith from Lamar was scheduled to be present tonight, but she had a family emergency and was not able to attend. But the plan was that she would make a presentation to the commission tonight.
Who determines whether it's an A or a B location?
Actually, the board does, and we go based off of the markers of their positioning within the travel path graphics. And so there's I have a brain cramp, I'm sorry, because
That's all right.
I have a
Yeah.
block in the back, but a thing called GRPs, which are listed based on the number of travelers that would see that sign for the particular audience that we're addressing. And it's really based on that GRP number in cooperation with Lamar, the metrics that they give us that identify us where we're going. And some of it really is just using the knowledge of the Lodgers Tax Board of when they advertise what it would take to get that traveler to go that one step further to come to Raton. And so our overall goal is obviously to get them to stop, because we know when the person stops, they give us X amount of money. To change them to stay, because we've learned that's 3 times X when they spend a day. And then obviously the ultimate goal is to keep them overnight, because we know they spend 10 times X when they stay overnight. And so we want to be able to start creating the atmosphere of getting people to come to Raton for the weekend. Our events as well are great, but it's obviously we have a lot of great resources with the NRA, our state parks, as well as the historical value in our downtown and with the Schuler Theater to have people come and stay. And so we're looking for with that Amarillo traffic, instead of just the one-offs as they're passing through, is get the people as they're going through each day, going to work, going to supermarket, going planting in their seed. Hey, what are we going to do this weekend? Let's try to Raton.
And for some reason, in my paperwork, I can't find the amount. On the first page,
Well,
63,000. Is that what you've normally been spending on the billboards?
Over a 2-year period, actually, this is showing 14 panels. We only have 5.
Presently, you have 5.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're dropping off. And so as those drop off, they won't be renewed. And so, yeah, I need to look through there and make sure that they address that at the end of the current term, which the term is up, we only have 5 panels.
And you're going to 14, is that correct? Is
No,
that
we're
what you
staying
said?
at 5. But we shifted the cost by going through C locations to the B locations. So there was a slight increase of what we had, but not much. Our prices on outdoor, we've been able to keep stable for 3 years now, so.
Okay, and that is, this figure of 63,718.04 is per year?
Those are the overall panels. Yeah, the way they have it listed there would be. This wasn't the contract that Renee sent me, I apologize, so.
Oh,
Would you want to?
So,
I'll
think we're
have to have her
confused
address that.
Yeah, I believe you should be looking up here at the $8,000.
Yeah, that's
Oh, okay.
that's our
Oh,
number.
okay.
well, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, and if you remember at the last meeting, Tricia was out and
Right.
myself and Michael Land had not attended this meeting. So we've got some folks that were there for the discussion to try to clarify
Great.
what the intent was.
Okay.
that makes a little more sense now.
Yeah.
So what are these, this list of 14, is that, those are,
Actually, it should have the panels that were located, and so to McCary, the Roswell are ones that point out. The Las Vegas, we have one that is a current existing that we will be extending. I don't see the Albuquerque one. What's also not listed in there was their commitment to the digital, which is in the Prime A location, which they gave us numbers that we'll hold in reserve for next year for the Gateway City and the Bloom Festival and those larger events. So that's a high I-40 exchange, both east and west, before the I-25 connection that they'll also support us on.
Great.
Does the,
So she gave the campaign of 2 years with 6 panels, and I don't know why she just didn't list the 6 panels that we have, unless she included the ones that we're dropping, but we're not keeping those. So I apologize that confusion is there.
she mentioned the digital on the cover letter that she.
Yeah, it's in the cover letter.
And the packet that you received also shows, pictures of where the billboards will actually be at.
I think she gave the entire,
Yeah, we got the whole package.
yeah.
The
So,
whole
yeah.
enchilada.
My question still is, we pointed out the 8,000, but in the recommendation, it says we're renewing for a total amount of 63,718.
Yeah, no,
That was an error.
Okay, so we're just going for the 8,000.
for the 6 panels.
Okay, and it's still gonna be a 2-year term?
Yes.
Okay.
These 6 panels are on here twice. If you look at your line 1, 6 discounted vinyl, 4 panels,
Yep, good catch, Madam Mayor.
3101, and then say,
One's for fiscal year
16 and one for
16.
17.
Yeah.
Right.
oh, okay, so it's 4,000 a year.
Right, but the recommendation is a 2-year contract for $8,000.
Like, see what they did.
Yeah, but still for 2 years.
Right.
With that being explained, I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second, and I have a comment. In the state of New Mexico, you can only make a contract for 1 year. You can go ahead and set up the contract for the 2, but you'll have to renew it annually.
Each year, yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If I could find my paper. To approve the contract with Lamar Billboards with the Lodgers Tax Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And you want to go on to the second recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. The doTERRA Oils is a symposium where they were looking to bring over people into the community. It's sort of a mini convention for the items that they were selling or offering. I guess it has to deal with health and wellness. And so the board at the time, and I apologize, I was not at that meeting, recommended approval for their advertising in order for them to be able to do that.
Is it just for Laura Brewer and Laura Hyder? I mean, there's all kinds of people in this town that sell that product.
I believe they're actually just the ones that are trying to get the symposium going in this area.
What does that mean?
I think these individuals came to the Lodgers Tax Board with the recommendation or the request, requesting funding, and they will coordinate the symposium, and they will bring speakers from the corporate office in Salt Lake City to make the presentation, and they will do what's required to have 150 to 200 out-of-town people attend the symposium.
Okay, so there, the 2 people listed are are going to be the coordinators.
Correct.
Okay, my reservation is that everyone that sells this product needs to be included in this convention, because they're going to be selling a product. And it's-
Absolutely, and that was my understanding, that the symposium was to bring them to address and fulfill that. I wasn't there to get the whole deal. One of the questions that I asked was, this a private business
It's
asking?
private.
And I can't answer that for you. I would.
Yeah, that's my other concern, is that this is private businesses.
Mayor Mance, may I point out that they're just listed as contacts,
Yes,
you know?
yeah, I'd feel better about this if it listed everyone that has a dealership in town. I know there's all kinds of.
We can
Right, yeah.
specify that as a requirement.
When they come under the price that they would be invited to this
I
symposium?
don't know if they would be or not.
Because it says here that they're
It's
gonna
a
email.
symposium for the company, for the product. I would imagine anyone associated has the right to come to this
Yeah,
Yeah.
thing. I think Ms. Brewer and Ms. Hyder are just heading it up
Yes.
to run the
That would be my
symposium.
guess, given that it says contacts as opposed to,
Yeah, but my point is, if we're gonna sponsor it, I'd like every vendor to have the opportunity to sell their product, even though it's the same thing over and over and over and over.
I'm gonna guess that this is not a situation where they're selling product. It's more a situation, where a learning
A learning experience.
learning experience
For-
where they
Yes.
learn how to better promote each individual
products.
product. Each essential oil does it as separate.
Yeah, they all do different
well,
things.
Different
it says
things.
right there in the first, to provide information about promoting the benefits of health and wellness.
Right.
To provide information, not sales.
Yeah, I just feel better if that was addressed. But I'm only one person.
Yeah, I think, we can certainly ask them to list out. But then they run the risk of missing someone, because like you say, there
Yeah,
are, practically everybody I know sells these oils.
I know, that's what I'm
Trish, when
saying.
was the date that they were looking to do this? Because that's not on there either.
And I would just point out to the commission that, we heard from the attorney for New Mexico Municipal League, and he reviewed the statute, and I think the determination we have to make here is, these are lodgers tax funds that have to go to the promotion of Raton.
Right.
A tourism promotion. So I think the test here is the use of these funds, does that meet the requirement that the funds are expended in the promotion of Raton?
Okay.
That being said, I'll make a motion to accept
Yes.
the Lodgers Tax Board recommendations to allow the tourist symposium.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation for I'm all right, Do Tierra Symposium. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll do better to provide you that information.
Yeah. We were both unable to make that last meeting. Then.
Oh, so you two, they knew two of the ones that were sent. Perform evaluation of the Raton Chamber of Commerce responsibilities under the Memorandum of Understanding for Tourism Coordinator Services.
Mayor and Commission, I ask that this be placed on the agenda so that we could discuss the MOU, and this is a result of several things I'd like to pass along to the commission. And I had talked to Mr. Jenkins a couple of times about these. These are recent things, but I would have to report to the commission that I have seen an occurrence in the last about 3 months of complaints from out-of-state people about information from the chamber. People have called City Hall and said they have not been able to get the information they were looking for, or information was incorrect, or they weren't getting return calls. So I think there's been a bit of a performance issue with the chamber as far as what's required under the MOU. But I would tell the commission that two things have happened. First of all, the tourism coordinator for the chamber has resigned, and the chamber is currently got a search going for a new tourism coordinator. And so I had notified the chamber that payments under that MOU would not take place and would be suspended while that position was unfilled. And that could be resolved fairly quickly, I think, in talking to Mr. Jenkins. But there is an issue that the city did receive a bill from New Mexico Magazine for 3 ads. The commission has a copy of that there, and I think each ad was placed at a cost of $2,570, so that's times 3, and that cost was not authorized by Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. It was not authorized by the commission. There was not a purchase order issued by the city for that, and now we're getting a bill from New Mexico Magazine for that. And so I want to bring that to the commission to discuss how we're going to settle that account with New Mexico Magazine. Mr. Jenkins is on hand, as well as some members of the board of the chamber. Those are the things that I wanted to bring forward to the commission for discussion. I think it's appropriate that we talk about the action by state tourism at this time as well, and I think it's common knowledge that state tourism has let it be known that they will no longer staff our visitor center. There are, I think, 3 persons who are employed by state tourism that man the visitor center and provide information to visitors, and state tourism has stated that they will no longer fill those positions. Those positions will be eliminated, and we'll talk about that some more. And I have some information to relay to the commission, but I'll bring that up as we go along in the meeting.
Madam Mayor and Commission members, my name is Paul Jenkins. I come before you tonight as the acting president of the Raton Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to address the issue of the magazine ads first. None of us on the board understand where Vivian, how Vivian acquired the understanding that somehow the city was going to pay for these ads. We have checked the minutes for, and the agendas and the minutes for the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board, and there is absolutely no record beginning in January through April of any presentation of that information to the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board or any recommendation by them, let alone an approval by the City Commission. We have submitted a claim through our liability insurance policy to the Hartford Insurance. I've been advised today by the council handling that claim that while they do not have a duty to indemnify under that, they do have a duty to provide legal defense, and that quite frankly what they'd be willing to do is treat after the payment of a $2,500 deductible by the chamber, treat the remaining balance as a legal expense, defense expense, to avoid having to go through any further litigation and pay the balance. They are hopeful that contact with the New Mexico Magazine by the city would somehow indicate that they did not in fact have a signed contract. I find it hard to believe that Vivian would have signed a contract on behalf of the city. I think it was more verbal communication, and how they got the impression that Vivian had the authority to authorize placement of the magazine might reflect that they have some culpability in accepting the placement of this without it going through the proper channels, and which might serve as a basis for negotiating the final amount of the bill. Are there any further questions regarding the New Mexico Magazine bill? You have before you my formal report. During the last year, the Chamber sponsored 2 events which brought visitors from out of town. The Cowboy Ball, held in April, attracted people from Clayton, Folsom, Des Moines, Springer, Maxwell, Cimarron, Vermejo Park, and from as far away as Oklahoma City, Denver, Castle Rock, and Albuquerque. We are aware of 11 from Denver who stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, 6 from Vermejo Park, 3 of which stayed at Castle Inn, 5 from Amarillo who stayed at the Best Western Plus, 4 from Oklahoma City who also stayed at the Best Western Plus. Additionally, from the recollections of those handling the tickets, there were 6 from Clayton, 4 from Albuquerque, and 3 from Castle Rock. Those are the ones that we know about. I know there's been some discussion as to whether or not the Cowboy Ball should be considered an event that would qualify under our obligation to provide 2 events that bring in out-of-town visitors. I think the facts regarding the attendance at this event show that it does in fact draw in out-of-town visitors, and ask that that be considered as one of the 2 events we're required to have under the MOU. The Cowboy Ball for attendance did suffer because just after we had announced and begun publicizing the event, the Woodington Center announced that they were going to hold an event that same evening, and this reduced our attendance by approximately 50%. And the money that we use, because this is also a fundraiser for the chamber, was reduced significantly. I think that in the future, what we need is a tourism coordinator who is very good at reaching out to the other organizations and coordinating, not just as the events are being publicized, but long before that, to ensure better coordination on the dates. And we will be looking specifically for that quality in our next tourism coordinator. June 6th to the 8th, we hosted the state's annual conference for the Association of New Mexico Activity Professionals, also known as ANMAP. Participants included 6 speakers, 48 activity professionals, and additional 15 family members. The primary speaker, who does training for activity professionals, was so impressed with the way we put on the conference that she arranged for an additional training, which was held July 31st through August 4th, to be held here in Raton. There was 1 trainer, 15 participants, and an additional 3 family members who came to Raton for that event. In addition, they have indicated an interest in holding further trainings in Raton. The first 2 Saturdays in
Excuse me,
June.
Paul?
Yes.
I contacted Paul, and we talked about this, and I was under the assumption, and I told him that, and I wasn't aware, and he schooled me. I had informed him, I said I didn't feel that the Cowboy Ball was the bringing heads to beds type thing, and I had no idea about the Dan map thing, and so he did inform me of how it came about.
The first 2 Saturdays in June, the Chamber Board met to chart a new course by developing a more specific strategic plan. At the time I presented that plan to the quarterly meeting of the Chamber membership, I acknowledged that we would only be able to achieve the intended results through the recruitment of additional board members and the involvement of more Chamber members. Since that time, we've been privileged to add Sophia Ortiz from SEER Jobs for Progress, who runs the local workforce development office, to our board, but at the same time, we lost the individual who had been serving as our president. When our past tourism coordinator resigned unexpectedly, Sophia helped us fashion a better job description, which is more indicative of the duties required by the tourism coordinator, and arranged to have new applicants go through what's called a work keys assessment so that we would know how they compared against each other in certain basic skills such as typing Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Publisher, and Microsoft PowerPoint. The results of those tests were reviewed on Saturday, as well as all the completed applications, and we have now selected 4 candidates whom we will be interviewing this coming Thursday evening. It's actually Thursday afternoon, beginning at 2:30. The executive committee consists of myself, Ana Luisa Coronado, Jim Hunter, and Sophia Ortiz. We invite the commission to designate one of its members or designate another individual to be a part of that selection process, and are eager to have the commission appoint a liaison to meet monthly with the chamber board and at any other time the board meets for a special meeting. We recognize that the chamber is presently ill-equipped to achieve the results set forth in its strategic plan. We are in a most precarious position. Only with the selection of a highly skilled tourism coordinator will we be able to regain the support of the business community and increase not only our general membership, but the membership of the board. At the same time, as Mr. Berry mentioned, the Department of Tourism has announced that it intends to close the Visitors Information Center, which is co-located with the Chamber. The last day for the employees will be September 20th, and my understanding is that they will clear out all of their materials by October 7th. The Chamber is not in a position to take up the workload of 3 full-time employees who currently staff that center. The Chamber Board held an emergency meeting this Saturday. The Chamber is fully committed to keep the Chamber going even if the Visitors Information Center closes. However, without a tourism coordinator to provide supervision, we stand to lose the Goodwill Industries CSEP employee that the Goodwill pays for their salary, who spends 15 hours a week answering phones, responding to inquiries, and preparing the weekend Raton information sheet. In the meantime, one of our board members has come forward and agreed to be present at the chamber during the 15 hours when this employee is there, so that we will not lose that most valuable asset. And unfortunately, doing that for an extended period of time would present a hardship for any of our board members, let alone the one who has volunteered to do this. That board member is also working to organize what has been a rather chaotic situation, which resulted from the resignation of the past tourism coordinator. I myself am spending time daily in the chamber office to provide guidance and direction, but also have responsibilities as the president of Grow Raton to staff our office. 3 out of the other 5 chamber board members have agreed to meet weekly on Thursday afternoons at the chamber office. The other 2 have work schedules which would conflict with being able to make that commitment. But including myself, we have 4 of the 6 chamber board members who are devoting extra time to carry on the work of the chamber and to help set the stage for a new tourism coordinator to be able to function effectively immediately upon their hire. There is no question, I hope, on the part of the City Commission that the city needs to have a Chamber of Commerce. Without a Chamber of Commerce and an effective tourism coordinator, the closing of the Visitors Information Center could well be a fatal blow to tourism for the city and its economy. Let there be no doubt that tourism is a major economic driver for our community, and just having a Chamber of Commerce lends credibility that we are a viable community worthy of consideration by both visitors and employers. I realize that the Chamber may not have lived up to expectations in the past, but we are making a contribution and stand ready to accomplish even more than before. I urge the Commission to authorize the renewal of funding for the tourism coordinator position upon the hiring of that individual. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Mance, I have a couple of questions for Mr. Jenkins, if you don't mind. I did meet with Paul earlier today, and we had a pretty good discussion on what's going on, but what I failed to ask you is how many actual members are on the chamber, aside from your board members? Do you have
The last count we had 42.
42? Okay. And are they regular, we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but are they regular paying, dues paying members?
These are the dues, individuals who have paid their dues for the year 2017.
Okay, great.
I will comment that that's down from a time when we had over 100 paying members.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I've done some research. I've learned more about what the United States Chamber of Commerce's do in the last few days than I ever thought I needed to know. But and one thing that was evident, well, let me preface this by saying that I want to continue, I want to do what we can to help you guys continue, because I think not having a chamber is more harmful than helping you out. But on the other hand, when in your hiring process, I really, I want you to look for someone who can promote the workings of a chamber. Most United States Chamber of Commerce's do not come and take money from their city because they want to be able to influence the city rather than be influenced by the city government. So I think that's a direction. I'm hoping that you can take this chamber with this new hire, and I know you guys are all working hard as board members, but that when you're looking for that individual, make sure that that person has those social media skills, and you and I talked about that, but I'm kind of speaking to the rest of your group here, social media skills and coordination skills. That's just and then a skill for accuracy. We can't be publishing in an expensive ad the wrong dates for events happening in Raton. That's so possibly providing better oversight to that new hire for a while until you know things are going to happen smoothly.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Because that's the end of my soapbox, sorry.
Well, I too think, and I positively think that we need a Chamber of Commerce. But as we talked before, and I went through the MOU prior to this, and I underlined, and there was a ton of things that were not being done. I apologize for not attacking Paul, but saying that these things weren't done, and he proved that they were. But there's a lot of things that they didn't. There was no communication between the chamber director and out there going to the public and finding this. So I would like to see us get that. I personally would like to see a list of all the applicants that have applied for this and see their resume. If you guys could all get that to us up here, I would like to look at that also. And like she said, that's a good idea to have a liaison that you could go down there and look at the applicants and listen to the interviews. Because I think it's very important that we do have a chamber, and quite frankly, they're holding back the funds right now until such time that you guys hire one. So time is of the essence in this thing. I too have been on the phone all day with Santa Fe, and they're not going to budge on very much on this. So we do need to have this chamber to become a viable force in providing tourism for us here. That's all I have to say.
Paul did ask if I could sit in on the hiring process on Thursday, and I will be in Santa Fe, so I will not be able to do that if anybody else has the time to assist in that
What
effort.
time are you interviewing?
Interviews are scheduled to start at 2:30.
I'll be in Santa Fe also by that time.
And when is this, Thursday?
Thursday.
Let me get back to you on that. I might be able to come and sit in on that.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm going to be gone going to Denver. That's right.
Well, Don, you and I will flip a coin here in a minute. No, I think this is, everyone up here is in favor of a Chamber of Commerce, Mr.
Right.
Jenkins. We know the importance of it. I want to commend you first for bringing us a report. In my tenure on this commission, this is the first report I've ever seen from the commission. I've never, until earlier this year, seen a financial statement. So I think you've got the process there to get going. We want to help, but at the same time, we need to be prudent about how we dole out our money. And lack of a better term, if we're not getting our bang for the buck, we need to look for answers and seek a solution. I think we've started that process. Unfortunately, I think it's started a little late, but I think we all look forward to working with the chamber, whoever you've got. I possibly could be available Thursday afternoon. was supposed to go somewhere, but we could postpone that a little bit. So I can get with you after the meeting if you'd like.
Okay.
Mayor and Commission, I would offer my time as well if it's acceptable to the chamber. Definitely, I would be there. I think it's a good time to talk about state tourism here a little bit. And I would tell you that, to my knowledge, the city of Raton was not notified by state tourism that they would vacate the visitor center. And I think that's an issue because we have an agreement, a memorandum of understanding with state tourism. It really continues indefinitely, that they would man the visitor center and provide tourist services, and the city of Raton would pay for the cost of constructing and maintaining and the operational costs of the building. And the citizens of Raton have made a significant investment in having a top quality facility, and we paid on that debt for 18 years now, and the debt continues. And so I was a little disappointed that we didn't have a chance to discuss this with the tourism department, and we really were not notified of this. And I did place a call to Rebecca Latham. She is the cabinet secretary for tourism department, and she did call back this morning. I did have a chance to discuss this with her, and I asked on behalf of the commission if the tourism department would discuss the decision with us, with the citizens of Raton, with the commission, if Ms. Latham would come to Raton and sit down with us and reconsider the decision. And I pointed out that Raton is the gateway to New Mexico. Between I-25 and 6487, we've got very high numbers of visitors that are entering New Mexico. It's their first impression of New Mexico. They're looking for information, not only in northeastern New Mexico and Raton, but really throughout the entire state. And I think it's probably a poor decision that this visitor center would be closed. And I would point out that the plan involves remaining funding remain in place for 4 other visitor centers, which 2 of them are close to the border of Arizona and Texas on I-40, and one is near the Arizona border on I-10, and the other is in Santa Fe. And I did state that I didn't see why you would close the Raton Center and leave the Santa Fe Center open. I can tell you, Mayor and Commission, that the conversation was not a good conversation. The Cabinet Secretary was rather defensive about that. She said that the only condition that we would have to agree to in order for her to come to Raton and meet with us is that we would not discuss the decision, we would not question the decision, we would not ask them to continue with that. And if we agreed that we would not question the decision, she would come to Raton and talk to us.
And have cookies or what?
And she further stated that if we tried to question the decision, she would walk out of the meeting and leave Raton immediately. So it was not a particularly productive conversation. That's where we stand. I have drafted a letter to the Cabinet Secretary, which I've provided to the Commission. I intend to mail that letter tomorrow. I would ask the commissioners, I would ask every citizen here to draft a letter. And one thing the Cabinet Secretary said is that this is a great opportunity for Raton, and Raton should step up and rally around running our own visitor center. And I pointed out I would hope she would come to Raton and explain how this is a great opportunity for Raton, because it seemed like a loss. But it looks like she will decline to do that. And so I think we do rally around our visitor center, but we do that through the letter writing to every state official, including Cabinet Secretary, and express our disagreement with this decision. So I would throw that out there, but I would then turn to the chamber and say, obviously, we are going to have to find a solution to providing these services. And I don't know that, I made really no headway with the Cabinet Secretary today, and this budget process is moving forward rapidly, and the state budget is has got a lot of problems. So
Yeah, it's in trouble.
I don't know that there's a chance of reversing the decision. I think we have to ask that the decision be reversed, but the budget situation in all of state government is very bad. It's poor. And so I think we have to plan on how we're going to operate and provide these services. And I would like to have continued dialogue with the chamber. Obviously, we need to improve our partnership, and we need to establish a 5-year plan on how we're going to go from where we are to really excel at promoting Raton, providing services to our visitors, meeting that request for information that's out there. I've heard from people who wanted to come here and visit northeast New Mexico and the area. There are quite a few people out there, a lot of interest, and people looking for this information.
I mailed out 4 packets just today. Individuals who called, inquired, asked us to send them information for either visiting or relocating here.
I know the state of Colorado, I might be, this is a while ago that I had this information, they take people that volunteer to work in their tourism center. And what they did in the past was they would take those people all over the state, so they were familiar with what the state of Colorado had to offer. And that was all volunteers that were doing that. And maybe for the time being, we're gonna have to look at a program like that. But
Oddly-
make sure the people are schooled and don't send people to Taos to buy their art. We have art in Raton.
Oddly enough, my wife, who's a very active member in the MCMC Auxiliary, made the exact same suggestion to me this afternoon. She said, you know, if the auxiliary can get together 50-odd people who volunteer to keep the hospital in funds and provide services, they provide over 120,000 hours, volunteer hours over the years that they have been there, that we might go on the radio, try to form a group. You know, maybe it becomes a new form of the ambassadors. Provide them with the jackets that the ambassadors have so that they are recognized as being representatives of the community, and properly train them in customer service skills. I don't want to mislead you, though. I think it's going to be difficult to replace 3 trained professionals, full-time employees, who have staffed that center. Plus, my understanding is that the state intends to remove everything that's in there. Where are we going to get all the materials?
I would state the cabinet secretary said that she would leave everything in the center, furnishings and I think materials, anything that's there now, she would agree to leave that.
Thank goodness.
Let me iterate again what you said about writing a letter. And I'm talking to all the people in Raton. Write that letter to the secretary, write that letter to the governor's office, and let them know that we're not satisfied with the way that we're being treated up here. I would also, in information in that, I say, why are they keeping one in Santa Fe? There are currently 7 or 8 in Santa Fe, if I'm not correct, that are tourism centers. Why are they not cutting that one when you gotta drive to Santa Fe to go to that one? You gotta drive through most of the state. So you're driving all the way to the heart of New Mexico, through the state. So I would like to see the letters go out of here so that it irritates the dog snot out of them, you know?
Well, yeah.
Well put.
And we did step up to the plate. We built that building, and we maintain that building. Would you like to speak?
Just from my experience in the 2 years being on the chamber, being in the visitor center, our visitor center was supervised by the person in the Santa Fe,
Yeah, she was.
Santa Fe office. And they had mentioned about numbers. When visitor center was closed, we, the chamber, called Santa Fe to find out why was the visitor center closed on weekends. And that was when the one employee was fighting cancer and nobody could help. So the numbers. And I put that in the statement that I said.
That's a good point. It's a great point.
I have posted on the Facebook page for both Grow Raton and the Chamber a piece that Leslie Fernandez first shared. It shows or gives the link to the governor's office and have encouraged people to inundate that office with pleas from Raton. I'm prepared to go on the radio to do the same thing. My own personal response, contained these words: tourism is an essential economic driver for us. Closing the center will deal a serious blow to the economy of Raton, northeastern New Mexico. We are the northern gateway to the state on I-25, and visitors from both the north and from the east traveling on the Ports to Plains corridor, highways 64 and 87, first find out about our state and what Raton has to offer, as well as the surrounding points of interest in northeastern New Mexico. The center is ideally located at the junction of I-25 and US Highway 6487 and easy to find. Only because they stop here for information do we get a chance to introduce them to our community and to show them what we have to offer. I think if anyone believes, and the way I put it, I said, does anyone really think that placing literature in Las Vegas will promote Raton sufficiently to bolster our economy? You might as well just write off economic development for northeastern New Mexico if you close the visitor center in Raton. And I don't think those words are strong enough to indicate the potential impact for this.
Well, I think we also need to acknowledge that, we're a gate city, a puerta to the great state of New Mexico, but that Las Vegas is not, but we are, and that we need to reiterate that we are important to the entire state. So when you're writing your letters, make sure you emphasize that this gateway is important to the entire state, not just the certain areas. I'm sorry.
Kathy?
If I might address the commission for just a minute. I am the now acting president of the Chamber Ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just am here to support the chamber and to offer whatever assistance we can give. We are down in membership as well. We only have 6 people. However, I have recruited 2 brand new members. I'm trying to rebuild, and I'm hoping that we can assist with the volunteer program somehow or do our part. My other comment to make is, I think we need a coalition. This doesn't just impact us, yes, primarily, but it impacts Cimarron, Springer, Angel Fire, Eagle
Right.
Nest, everybody in this corridor.
Right.
And so I strongly suggest that we reach out to those leaders and to those chambers and rally their support. Thank you.
Does the commission have anything else they wish to ask me about?
Well, thank you for your presentation.
And your work.
Thank you.
And will somebody from the, get us copies of all of the applicants? Okay, thank you. I can do that.
Our next item of business is deliberate and act on acceptance of DFA fiscal year 17 budget approval. This is a formality, but it has to be done, has to be recorded in the minutes.
Madam Mayor, with that formality, I make a motion that we accept the fiscal 17 budget, fiscal year 2017.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the acceptance of the DFA fiscal year 17 budget approval for the city of Raton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Michael Ann, you have anything to add?
That was easy enough. No, I just wanted to point out that you did have the letter in your packet from local government division. And so you will see that we met all the required conditions for them to approve our budget. So there were no changes or suggested changes from what you did approve in July. So as the mayor said, this is just a formality and needs to be made part of the minutes. So, thank you.
Deliberate and act on Resolution 2016-44, a resolution authorizing the City of Raton to utilize the Houston-Galveston Area Council contract for the purchase of one new rescue ambulance with fire protection funds. Chief?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Commissioners. In 1996, Raton bought its first brand-new rescue ambulance. It was state-of-the-art back then. All the extrication equipment, generators, lighting, everything you could ask for. Since then, in 2004, we purchased a used, these are both Freightliners, Freightliner to assist that vehicle and extend its longevity. Both those vehicles we've kind of nursed along. The older one, if you do ride in it and it's snowing or raining, guarantee you're going to get wet, unfortunately. The other one, it came with some electrical challenges. You'd make a right turn and the windshield wipers would go on. You'd step on the brakes and the lights in the patient compartment would go out. Both of those vehicles, it's well past their prime, or well past their prime and need to be replaced. An ambulance, unfortunately, is not a cheap item. We obtained 5 quotes, and the low quote through Southwest Ambulance, a very reputable and trustworthy company, is $136,000. So what we'd like is your approval to purchase this. We would replace the older ambulance, and we will take the one that's not quite as old and use it as a reserve ambulance. The funds are coming from state fire fund money. We've already received approval from the state fire marshal's office to use funds for that, so there shouldn't be any expense to the city.
The last time we bought an ambulance,
Uh-huh.
and it must have been used, I'm assuming.
Yes.
We were going to rebuild the engine on the old one or do something to...
If it was just the engine, yes, we would consider that. But it's the entire electrical
It's the entire
system, and the extrication equipment and generators are obsolete, and they would also need to be replaced. It would be a better investment to purchase a full new vehicle.
Okay, all right. Anyone have any other questions?
Nope. I'll move to accept City of Raton, New Mexico Resolution Number 2016-44, authorizing City of Raton to utilize the Houston-Galveston Area Council contract for purchase of one new rescue ambulance with fire protection funds.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2016-44, and I'm not going to read all of that. Can we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Segata?
Yes.
Mayor Mance?
Yes, motion passes.
Thank you all
Thank you.
very much. Thank you, Chief.
Deliberate and act on Resolution 2016-43, Budget Adjustment Number 1, Fiscal Year 17.
Mayor and Commission, generally, as soon as we receive an approved budget, we start with adjustments. So you do have budget adjustment number 1 this evening. Mainly, we are adding the approval of this last item for the ambulance that you just approved. We are going to be moving some funds from other line items to put into the vehicle line item. So you'll see that we are increasing that to $141,000, which is sufficient to cover the amount that was approved this evening. And then the others are just kind of things that we've discovered as we started using the budget the last couple months. Maybe things were budgeted in the wrong line items. So we're just doing some cleanup. We did have some funds from the prior fiscal year that did not, we didn't finish equipping some of our new police units. So I needed to rebudget some funding in his capital equipment line items so that he can finish equipping those new units. And so we have some funds left over in our special teams incentive. We've already distributed those payments for this fiscal year, and we have a balance. So we're going to move that into his equipment line item. And then also, there is a adjustment here for parking lot improvements at Ripley Park that we've included in this adjustment this evening. We received our distribution for EMS funds, and then also a grant for tire recycling that was not in our initial budget. So is there any questions? Oh, one other change at the very end. The one that we put in your packet said the approval date was September 27th. That's been corrected to reflect this evening's date, the 13th.
One other change in your title should be fiscal year 17.
Yeah, it should, shouldn't it? So,
And my copy doesn't have.
budget
anything-
adjustment number 1, fiscal year 17.
My copy doesn't have anything about the ambulance.
It's under Fund 202, vehicles.
Oh, vehicle.
Yeah, we only had 91,000 budgeted there, so the chief is taking funds from equipment maintenance and some monies in training center to move into vehicles.
Okay. And those were designated to be funded by the fire fund?
Yes, he's
You're
received.
just moving?
Yes. Yes, and he's received all of his approvals from the State Fire Marshal's office
So
to
they can do
use
that,
those
yeah.
funds.
Okay.
So we'll make that correction on the one that we have you sign. So, thank you. Other than that, if there's no other questions, I'd recommend approval of budget adjustment number 1.
Make a motion to accept resolution 2016-43.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 2016-43, Budget Adjustment Number 1, Fiscal Year 17. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I would report to the commission that I did attend the New Mexico Municipal League Annual Convention that was held in Hobbs. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that our Mayor Pro Tem, Neil Segata, was awarded the plaque here for Certified Municipal Official, and that is awarded upon completion of the Municipal Officials Leadership Institute. So congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Good work. A lot of work goes into receiving that certification. At the annual convention, there was a session that the delegates did hear from Don Tripp, Speaker of the House, Mary Kay Papin, President Pro Tem of the Senate, and they discussed the budget of the state of New Mexico and a special session coming up and what we could expect out of the regular 60-day session. And the report was pretty bleak. They generally reported that their projections were a shortfall of about $600 million, and the legislature will look for money wherever they can find
Right,
it, was
wherever they can
basically the
pull it, they'll
report.
pull
So they said that all state agencies have been told that they will cut their budget by 5%. I think this is one of the results is the announcement by Department of Tourism, and there's going to be a lot of additional pain to come. So if there's money out there somewhere, the legislature is going to grab it. Some of these departments will probably put together a plan for furloughs, and just like we see with the visitor center and the tourism services, this does find its way down to the city of Raton. This is probably not the only issue that we're going to be unhappy about over the next 18 months coming out of Santa Fe, because there is going to be a lot of pain to be spread around. So the report's pretty bleak, and I would expect that at the end of September they will conduct the special session. I think what's going on now is a lot of discussion about how those cuts are going to be made, where it's coming from. The special session will likely involve one day when all the decisions are made, and they'll get together and agree on that and vote on it. But I think that work is going on now, and we're seeing as a result things like the tourism department cutting. So this is the beginning of more cutting to come. We'll see that in the regular 60-day session as well, and we'll see that through the next fiscal year upcoming. So this does have a way of trickling down to us, and so we've again talked with department heads and staff at the City of Raton. It's a time that we really have to be careful, cautious, conservative. Some of the municipalities that I had talked to said that their GRT collections were down by as much as 50%. That's really related to oil and gas. Those are oil and gas communities. And it probably was artificially high to start with, but there's generally a bad mood around the state as far as financial issues. So we will continue with our hiring freeze. We'll take those instances on a case-by-case basis, try to control our costs, and do what we can do. So not real happy news there, but just to update the commission, that's what we'll be hearing. I would like to update the commission on construction projects. First of all, I talked about the multimodal. I was disappointed that construction was not completed by the time we had the Gate City Music Festival. We still have some construction to finish, and we had a meeting yesterday with the contractor, and I really expressed my disappointment that progress on the project has slowed down considerably. The contractor has made the assertion, the representation, that they will bring additional crews up here, do everything to complete the project in a timely manner, and I will be looking after them to make sure that that gets done. So I think it's dragging on and it's slowed down, but we will continue to talk to them and try to finish the project. I think the construction that's done, I think it looks great. A lot of people have made positive comments on it, but honestly, it should have been completed by now.
Is the contract set up for payments and increments? In other words, if you finish a phase, you get paid?
That's right. We really can't authorize payment until some portion of the work is done. And so we will not pay in advance, and it goes through quite a process. The consulting engineers at Bohannon and Houston, they will review any request for payment. We have hired engineering analytics to do on-site full-time inspection. They will review any request for payments, and staff here at the City of Raton will also review that before that payment is made. Now, Federal Highway Administration, this is a reimbursement, and they have actually been very good to deal with as far as reimbursing us in a timely manner. But there is a couple of payments to the contractor which are substantial. So we'll look at that. We are holding up a payment right now for work that is showing up on the request for payment that's not complete.
It has not been finished.
So we'll be working with the contractor on that, but it's very possible the work, if the contractor performs, can be completed in about 10 days. There's not a long way to go on the project.
Were there no penalties involved in this contract?
There are penalties. There are liquidated damages based on time. The project has been affected by weather, and particularly the parking lot has been affected numerous times by weather. And so the contractor can claim those days, and if we agree that the construction was slowed by weather, that extends the contract time. There has been a little bit of work added through 2 change orders on the project. That usually adds a little bit of time. So There is a provision for that. Bohannon Houston is calculating where we're standing on that contract time, and that comes after approval of weather days, so we're working on that. As far as our street paving work under the cooperative agreement project, we have been working on Apache Avenue, Cook Avenue, and Savage Avenue. That work is substantially complete, but it's not final completion. So there's still a little bit of work that we would do on those projects. And I think that we'll complete that again over the next week or 10 days, complete that before we get into some cold weather. But I think that those 3 blocks are looking pretty good, much improved over what we had. We did want to catch that Ripley Park parking lot, as we talked about under the budget adjustment. Is really in rough shape. We have a lot of visitors coming to town, a lot of events at Ripley Park. I know in my time we've had Governor Martinez and Governor Richardson drive in on Savage Avenue, park in the parking lot to have a function at the park, and we wanted to reflect that that's an important area for the town and really make that a good reflection on Raton.
One thing that was brought up to me, Scott, and I didn't bring it to you sooner, well, it was just brought up to me last week, was in that area particularly, is there any way we could make accommodations for a handicap unloading zone in that parking area so that those folks could utilize the park and the events that are there?
Part of the work that remains is we will provide pavement markings in the parking lot and paving bumpers in that. So on the east part of the parking lot, we will designate an accessible loading area. We have one ramp that's proper for accessibility. We have another that goes to the Rose Garden area that's really not, but there's not a sidewalk there. It really doesn't serve that public. But yeah, we should have a significant improvement over that. We will have a designated spot in the parking lot when we complete the pavement markings. We'll have the pavement markings done by our Public Works crew. And we'll also have them place the parking bumpers. Right now, the Public Works crew is working hard on the streets that we've designated for chip seal resurfacing. Remember, we did the chip seal last year, and I think we had pretty good success with that. And we had talked here at the commission meeting about the legislative funds that we have through capital outlay, $150,000 going into additional street improvements. With the chip seal process, we cover a lot of area. Last year, we completed 19 blocks for about $80,000. So we cover a lot of area for the money. We're getting to the end of construction season. We would have to complete this work end of September, early October, and then we're not going to have the weather for it. So we're making preparations to do that work. There are a couple of things that have to come together in order for us to be clear to do that. As you remember, the work is covered under 3 state purchasing agreements, 3 different contractors. One is for the aggregate, one is for the emulsion product, and one is to perform the work. So we have to line up those 3 parties, as well as State Highway Department. They've got some work to do. If we can't pull that off by the end of September, and it's a pretty short window, we would do this work in June of 2017. But the crew is out there doing the prep work, patching and cleaning of these roads right now. The roads we look at doing are generally described as Pecos Avenue, Mora Avenue, a portion of South 4th, Dwyer, and Buena Vista. Those are the streets that we plan on chip sealing. Work is getting ready to start on the Lake Dorothy spillway. The contractor, Hassey Construction, has mobilized to Lake Dorothy, and we anticipate that the work would start next week and would take about 6 weeks to complete. So that will be going on. I would report to the commission that the city of Raton did receive the donation of something called a signal semaphore. in the last couple of days. The signal semaphore is approximately 30 feet high. It's a structure on the railroad that has signal lights on it. It's not something that the railroad uses much anymore, so they have removed a couple of them. And thanks to Buster Anderson and Butch McGowan, who worked with their contacts on the railroad, BNSF did agree to donate this semaphore to the city of Raton. And with 2 of those, we would plan on how to use those in the area of the depot to honor our railroad history. So it's something that a lot of other people would have liked to have collected. They're going to be some railroad memorabilia that you're not going to see around much anymore. But we do have that in our possession. We did have to pay the cost of going to Las Vegas, loading it and hauling it back to Raton, but we've got it in the Raton yard now. So we'll incorporate that in our plans for the Great Blocks project. I would let the commissioners know that a neighborhood watch meeting has been scheduled. It'll be here in the commission chambers on Thursday, September 29th, 6:30 p.m. Neighborhood Watch is really a private citizen-driven initiative to make neighborhoods safer. And they have been meeting on a regular basis. They've made an impact in those neighborhoods. In addition to being on the lookout for crimes and drug activity, they've been active in cleanup of the neighborhood too. So everyone is welcome to attend that. We have staff attend it, police, code enforcement, they typically will attend. And on September 29th, Judge Chavis will be the guest speaker. And so he'll talk about some of the processes through district court.
Scott, Laura and I have agreed to have that meeting postponed because Crime Stoppers is having a meeting in the International Bank Room on the same night.
Okay.
And we'll be inviting the appropriate city officials.
Okay, that's a great update then. So we'll notify you of the revised date, but Crime Stoppers at the International Room on the 29th then. And Crime Stoppers works also in conjunction with our police department, is having a good effect, I think, in Raton, showing some results. Lastly, Mayor and Commission, I would report that field work is underway currently by our auditing firm, and they are at Raton Public Service Company. That was previously performed here at the city, included Raton Waterworks. I would assume they're going to be here most of the week, and that will center on Raton Public Service Company. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before this body? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.